So, Playboi Carti has finally released his long anticipated record, Music. So, Playboi Carti has been one of the most infamous voices in hip hop history. This man started off with a self titled record in which, back in 2017, in which he had hits like Magnolia, Location, and Woke Up Like This, a bunch of hits in that record, and he was received with just like a lot of like just mixed baggage. There was one side who really appreciated just how, I guess, unique his voice was and how simplistic it was and this very dreamy and ethereal type production. And there was another side who just thought it was very lazy, it was too mumbly, and it was hard to follow. And it's very interesting looking back at it now because just Playboi Carti throughout the years has evolved into something much bigger than what he was in his first record. He had Dial It, which was a follow-up record to that record a year later, and it opened all of these doors for him, and it had people treating him with much more respect. And he almost got his certified legendary status off of that record alone. And he helped influence and pave the way for more almost cloud rap or more just hip hop and with rapping with more ethereal beats or more psychedelic beats that are usually not rapped over. And it seemed that Cardi was just the only one who could rap over these beats most of the cases. And a lot of artists were just taking notes from him and wanted to replicate what his sound was. And back in 2020, in which when he released Whole Lotta Red, he just went a step further and almost invented his own subgenre in a way. This whole rage subgenre that basically was birthed from Whole Lotta Red has been something that's been predominant during the last 5 years in the hip hop genre. And even if it isn't in the hip hop genre, you can hear it in other categories like hyperpop or just pop in general. Almost everybody wants to imitate a fraction of the rage music that Playboi Carti helped pave the way for with Whole Lotta Red. Despite carrying this huge influence, it seems that Carti has been very like behind the scenes with what his next steps were going to be musically speaking. Yes, he did do some features here and there a couple of years. Yes, he did drop some songs here and there back in 2023 and 2024, but it was like in a very like weird spaced out way that nobody knew what the heck was going to happen with the next record. It is without a doubt potentially the most chaotic rollout ever, more chaotic than Donda, because at the very least Donda had listening parties. With this record, I don't think there was a single listening party, and nobody knew when the album was going to come out because Carti would just keep on lying about the date, and it would never come out the time he would say would come out. And he's been notorious for just, I guess, lying or just misleading people in terms of when the specific song that I come out, because he teased that a Whole Lot of Red that was going to come out years ago. Never came out. Not even a single song came out of the lead single. So it's just been an iconic back and forth of just like him not feeding his fans and stuff. But thankfully, he decided to release the record recently, and it's been met with some very expected, I guess, reactions. At least for my case, it's almost the same case with Dial It. I'm sorry, with Whole Lotta Red. Whole Lotta Red day one was met with so much backlash. You would have thought like Carti dropped the worst album ever. To then a lot of people just a couple of months later siding with the album, calling it this like influential masterpiece that is for sure going to pave the way. And it literally just did pave the way, and it paid off in the long term. It's just very funny kind of looking at it now, just how ridiculed and mocked that album was, yet it is literally potentially the most important record we have right now this decade, musically speaking. I think that this record will probably have the Whole Lotta Red effect in the long term. I don't know if it's going to be that as influential, but I think it's going to be an album that at first people will definitely just feel disappointed because it's an almost 5 year wait. And as a follow-up record, I think there are an insane amount of expectations that were never going to be met. But yeah, anyway, kind of digging into more of this album music, I feel that at 30 songs, which to be honest, it was actually something that I personally wanted, and I never ever request 30 song albums. I just feel that 30 song albums usually become this boring, long, slow journey that never goes anywhere. But thankfully, with this record, it's only an hour and 16 minutes, so it never feels like it's overstaying its welcome. And the reason why I wanted a long album was sort of the 4.5 year wait. Ironically, Whole Lotta Red being, I think, almost 23, 24 songs long, it was a lengthy record, technically speaking, yet it doesn't feel like it. Like, it just feels much shorter than what the songs that are offered. And I feel that in that time frame, the songs offered, there were just so many things going on that were just so rich and so unique and creative And I think Carti is like one of those few artists that can channel a long record, and I think he knows exactly what he can do in that time frame without making it seem, I guess, boring or overly sloppy. Before we get into more details, so I think what makes this record stand out and what makes it just unique in a way, or how I personally like it, I really want to like just clear out the elephant in the room. Apparently, this record has some huge allegations that AI was used for some of the songs. Apparently, in the song "Rather Lie" and "Fine Shit," I think the whole process was that there was this artist called Lawson, which usually works with artists, kind of giving them a reference track, and I think he kind of like disguises his voice with the artist's AI voice to, I guess, give him a hint of where to go, which I don't think it's a terrible idea, but the mere fact that it was an official release and it's on the record as an official final version or whatever, it's kind of like disappointing. It's kind of disgusting to just see that thing kind of more normalized as we're going more into the music landscape. It reminds me of Kanye when he dropped Vultures 2, I believe, and apparently it did have a couple of songs that use AI in it, and you can just tell it's AI because of how just auto processed it is and how unhuman it sounds when Kanye is singing and just performing. It's kind of sad, to be honest. But yeah, just I think one of my first listens on Rather Lie, which is featuring The Weeknd, I didn't catch that on. I didn't catch it on at all. I remember enjoying the song Fair Share because I heard it in the leaks, and hearing it in the leaks in a live version, I was like, that hook is very engrossing. I really did enjoy The Weeknd's hook. But then the more I listened to that song, the more I realized that it just feels robotic. It doesn't feel very natural in its delivery. I remember a lot of fans were pointing out that Carti's delivery sounds a bit too pitch perfect. And I was maybe just thinking like, hey, maybe it's just auto tune, a bunch of effects putting into the mixer. But the more I think about it, the more I feel that it's just unregular, just the way it just sounds in general. And I think The Weeknd's voice is a bit overly processed with the auto tune and whatever. I don't even know why he's using auto tune to begin with, because his voice, his natural voice in general, just sounds amazing. But yeah, that song for me, it's now very 50-50. I know it's not confirmed that the AI was used because we're probably never gonna. It's probably never gonna get confirmed. Um, there's one side that's like, hey, you could kind of clearly hear it, and personally, the more I hear it, the more I kind of understand that side. And there's another side saying that it's not 100% confirmed, or apparently academics talked to Cardi and he said that it's not AI, but to be honest, academic is one of the least reliable sources ever, specifically coming into this record with all the false news that were spread during this record, and how there were some features that were just never on the album that he claimed were actually on the album that he heard. But anyway, yeah, it's apparently they use AI, so it's kind of like just disappointing. For Fine Shit, I didn't know it used AI. It's a very short song, to be honest. It's kind of hard to tell. Apparently it does, because Lawson, the guy who helped Cardi with that song, used AI on that specific song. Well, at least there's the accusations. I'm not entirely sure. I think those two songs I'm just gonna stay away with, but I wanted to address it because I think using AI in music, especially just like using it on an album, like your album, you're telling me that you hired someone else to perform for you. Why? Like it's your album. Why wouldn't you just perform? And if you're insecure about it, just don't release the songs. How about you replace it with the other singles that you dropped? I was surprised this record didn't have Different Day or 2024, when those are easily some of my favorite songs for his entire rollout period that Cardi had for this album. Apparently, Different Days listed as a deluxe song in like this version 1 uh, version of the record that he released that's apparently in his website they can get for $8 or something. I don't know why it's on streaming. Maybe it'll be, maybe not. Maybe he's doing that Kanye tactic where he's like putting the deluxe songs, but you can only get it on digital. You can only like buy it from a digital album. It will never be on streaming. Hopefully it's on streaming because it's one of my favorite songs to roll out, as I stated. But yeah, it's just a very strange gray area thing, and it's just very disappointing to hear him just mingle with that concept. But anyway, returning to the album, in terms of the positives I have for this record, I think the biggest thumbs up that I can give for this album was just how, I guess, unapologetic Cardi is in terms of just being expressive. Like in the songs like Pop Out, which is the intro for this entire record, It is these like 2 minutes unapologetic, loud, distorted, almost industrial type instrumental, and Carti is just screaming his lungs, almost like he did in Rockstar Made in a whole lot of red. And it is unequivocally like just one of the loudest songs he's ever made in his life. And the Swamp Izzo like tags and just ad libs screaming over here. It feels like a distorted psychedelic adventure that Carti can just only master, and he just says it so damn perfectly. And I think the mix is actually pretty damn great. Comparing it to the intro again, Rockstar Made, which is from Whole Lotta Red. I remember the song still being kind of low in terms of the beat. It sounds distorted, but I feel there was so much distortion, the compression kind of got messed up. In this song, however, everything feels super synchronized. Feel that the mixing is perfect. It's loud enough. Carti's vocals hits in perfectly. There's enough of the screaming and yelling, but just in a way that's tolerable. I don't know. It just feels perfect as an intro. Follow-up song Crush featuring Travis Scott is like this almost psychedelic, rage-induced, dopamine-fueled track that I can't really put into words. There's these angelic background vocals. Travis Scott sort of has the verse in here, but it's really mostly ad-libs. Carti is a bit low on the mix, I will say that, but there's so much going on in the beat that it just feels like this very beautiful, like just transitional song, and yet we're just literally on the second song on the record. I don't know. Honestly, I think it's angelic. I think it's destructive. I just think it's very beautiful with just how it panned out, and I think it's one of those Carti songs that it's like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I signed up for exactly. It's this organized chaos, destruction that we wanted after so many years of waiting. In a way, it's kind of reminded me of Father Stretch My Hands by Kanye West. Just when that beat drops, the insane madness that comes up, like outside of the build up, just when the beat drops, everything is the layers, everything going in. Crush kind of reminded me that, like, just how this song keeps on progressing and keeps on getting more grandiose and experimental every single second that it progresses. I was very happy that Carti kind of put some of the singles from the rollout in this record. I think K-pop, Evil Jordan, those songs were strong songs in rollout overall. And I think that alternative intro that he gave for Evil Jordan is actually pretty damn good. There's a lot of people calling it a TikTok intro, in which I could definitely see why. The gunshots, the sort of build-up sampling popular that almost sounds like somebody did a remix of the song, but for TikTok, I get it. But I don't know, I kind of feel it. I kind of find it to be kind of perfect as well. In a way, Carti is kind of aura farming throughout this entire record. There's already like a couple of songs that I've already heard in TikTok now, especially Crush. I don't know. Carti like indirectly can make TikTok music. Well, he's not like TikTok music in that sense, but it's going to be used heavily in TikTok. And just at the same time, I don't know. Just Carti is Carti. I don't think the intro was that bad. I think it was kind of hype. But again, these songs are kind of like overall the same thing that you would hear from the original songs. I think obviously it has a much better mix, and you don't have to hear it on a freaking like below MP3 sound quality. It's actually probably in the WAV files, which thank God I don't have to go listening to a freaking compressed version on YouTube or Instagram or something like that of a great song. But anyway, I am kind of disappointed by Hood by Air, or HBA as it's the initials I guess are on the record. I don't know who decided to add snare rolls. I know it's not Cardo Got Wings, in which he produced this song, and I think it's one of his best beats ever. It's one of my favorite Carti singles ever as well in the rollout. I don't know who added those annoying snare rolls, because those snare rolls were loud. I know they fixed the mixing with it. Carti kind of like gave a whole different mix, and I guess tuned down the parts that were just annoyingly loud, at least for that song. I know the snare rolls are less louder than what they were originally, but the mere fact that they're still there, it just ruins the entire vibe. There's like 6 or 7 snare rolls, and it is so loud to the point that it masks over Carti's vocals. And even if it isn't loud in the newer mixes, it's still there and it's still annoying. There's even like parts of his verse that are removed. I don't know why. I don't know why Carti decided this would be a great decision to make. It's clearly not. I prefer the original version 20 times more. But yeah, I don't know why he did that, because the original song was perfectly fine. There was just no need to even touch that song. Just maybe give it a better mix, but just don't add anything else. That song was perfectly fine. But yeah, kind of coming back to the positives of this record, I was very surprised by the feature list. 3 Kendrick features were crazy. The track Mojo Pin had me vibing left and right. At first, it was a bit 50-50 because I think it was a bit too much like trying to be funny, but it just didn't stick. But then the more that I listened to more, I was like, wait a minute, I kind of catch the flow on. You know, it's almost like that Range Brothers type of flow that that Kendrick had with Baby Keem. It was like that kind of like duo and just style I just really loved in Mojo Pin. I think Carti just flows his ass off. Kendrick with the funny ass ad libs kind of adds in. I don't know. I think it was just very funny and very cool, and that beat is hard as hell. I think the track Good Credit is like a goated Kendrick verse comes out of nowhere, really. I don't know. I think the whole ascension, kind of starting with Carti, then transitioning to Kendrick's part. I think the whole beat even transitions with pitch, or just the entire vibe just shifts entirely when Kendrick is on the mic. I think the Swamp Izzo ad libs and just the entire vibe of the record is honestly just perfect. I think Kendrick flows his ass off. That Luka Doncic line was just hilarious. It was honestly just amazing. Again, I don't know, just both the performances were incredible. I think Kendrick read the room. I don't think he did overly burying lyrical lines. He kind of seems to like dumb down a bit more and read the room as to what Carti wanted to present on the song, and I just think it's perfect. It's one that it's a banger, honestly. I think the song Backdoor featuring Kendrick and Jenny Aiko is honestly a banger song. It reminds me a little bit of Hillbillies, the way that instrumental is kind of like set up and builds up, and it was one of the theories as to that many people had as to how Kendrick would fit in the record, because that Kendrick feature thing was late. I think the day before the album came out, and it wasn't like 100% confirmed, but it was like apparently like late. But many people thought it was just going to be almost like a Hillbilly type song. That it actually, one of the features was, I didn't even know it was going to be 3 features, but here we are. You know, one of the features was kind of a Hillbillies type of track with, you know, Baby Keem. But yeah, it just had the same vibe. Kendrick is singing here. He's a bit drowned in autotune, but that's kind of okay. He's kind of like having fun throughout the song. Doesn't feel like completely like just ear numbing. Just like mind numbing to listen to. It's okay. It's fine the way he's using the autotune and stuff. And I don't think it's way too processed to the point that it's just terrible. But I think his performance is just, it's nice. You know, it's nothing exotic or anything, but it's a little just light-hearted just performance. It's kind of cute. Jenny Aiko kind of breaking the background vocals with Kendrick's parts. It's also very nice little subtle touch. And Carti's just kind of having fun with this beat. It's kind of just rapping over this very balancing beat. It reminds me of one of the better, I guess, sampled beat tracks that he's rapped over or sang over. It kind of reminded me of Feel Like Dying, with that angelic sample that surrounds that beat in that song. It reminds me almost like the same level of this song in terms of just how chill and just how breathy and just nice it is overall. Aside of the surprise Kendrick features, I really have to say that despite Future being probably like the most expected one next to Travis, I think he really slid on Trim. That song was incredible. The second I heard Future just opened his mouth and just started like rapping a few lines, a few seconds, that was incredible. It's one of the best performances I've ever had on a feature, dare I say ever. I don't know, it's just very like he's very concentrated, he's locked in terms of that flow. I think Carti is a great addition as well. He kind of just keeps up that same energy, keeps up that same flow. And I think the whole beat kind of feels like a Future beat. This song kind of feels like it's a Future song featuring Carti. Not in a way that Carti sounds like terrible or something to the point that he's like almost like a feature, but it's more of like just how just the beat itself kind of wraps around more towards Future than it does Carti. And I think it's fine. You know, sometimes Carti kind of takes a step back throughout this record. He gave Lil Uzi Vert kind of time to shine in the track Jumpin', and as well Twin Trim, which is basically almost like a Uzi interlude track. And I'm just glad that they have a connection, because there was like rumors that they kind of like just stopped talking to each other. They weren't friends anymore since Carti didn't appear in Pink Tape. And it seems that in these songs that Uzi is featured, it almost feels like it was leading up to Pink Tape, and it was supposed to be like songs that should come out years ago, but now just released because just the amount of delays that Carti had. But it's a very like interesting element and aspect that they thankfully have maintained a pretty good relationship. I'm not gonna lie, the track Jumpin', despite, you know, just Uzi kind of coming in the mix, I wasn't that big on it. I just think it's a very, very short track that doesn't offer that much that's different during the entire record. I get that it's almost like a rage track, like the entire record had kind of set up, but it's nothing too unique or just like incredible for me to really like enjoy. I think Travis really slid on the entire record. I think on the track Philly, he really slid on that song. It almost felt like a 2018, 2016 Travis Scott was rapping on a song, and I was like, am I listening to the right version of Travis Scott? Because I think he was straight up ad libs, and he really raps in that flow that you would hear him rap on his older projects. And I just like, there was just so much nostalgia coming into that song as well. The track Wake Up Filthy is this incredible distorted beat that it's like, I think it was Filthy and a BNX who made that beat together. It is incredible. I think that string or synth string, whatever the hell is in the background, is just addictive as hell. It's like this almost like 1 or 2 second like loop. This keeps on repeating, but these drums and the entire vibe kind of feels like chaotic and just distorted and just like almost like fire flames are just coming in during the track. I don't know why this visual thing is building up, but it just feels explosive to listen to. And I feel that Travis really does his shit rapping over the song. It kind of like helps set it kind of reminds me of just like Meltdown, the part of the strings, and I think it kind of gave Travis a lot of confidence to rap over the entire instrumental. And I think Carti, being Carti, knows what to do during the song, so it doesn't feel like they're both rapping over 2 completely different versions of the song. They seem to be on the same page, and I think their chemistry are just like really on the S tier. They really have improved just the way they bond each other during the songs. And I think Travis, despite him being kind of in a lazy run for features recently, I think this is really like one of his best features ever, up there with currently Reflections, Laughing, and some of the other better features that he has. But I think in recent memory, this is one of the most impressive features ever had. I was very surprised with We Need All the Vibes featuring Young Thug and Ty Dolla $ign. I don't know what Ty Dolla $ign is doing, but he's there. He had a pretty good verse, not gonna lie. But it was funny because I think Carti delayed the album so Thug could kind of fit in his verse. And you could kind of tell that it was definitely just like put in last minute, because the mixing in Thug's verse sounds noticeably louder than all the other verses from Carti or Ty Dolla $ign, which I thought was kind of funny. It doesn't ruin the entire song, but it's noticeably louder. And they were definitely mixing that thing like on the fly. But I think it's a really nice song. It's vibey, like it suggests. And I don't know, it feels like a Thug song kind of featuring Carti and Ty Dolla $ign. It almost feels like a song you would hear like in So Much Fun, which kind of gave me a huge wave of nostalgia. I can't believe it's been like almost 6 years ago, 5, I'm not entirely sure, but it's been a long time ago. I need So Much Fun Part 2. Thug, since you're out, please release something close to that. But anyway, I don't know, I thought that song was entirely just energy dopamine, and I just thought it was just a very fun, bright song. And it's kind of ironic since almost the majority of this record is just like pure distorted chaos, like just madness and rage and stuff. I don't know, thought it was a really cool break. Another song that kind of complements is kind of like nice breathy, it's kind of like nice airy style, is I See You Baby Boy. While the song is like very loud with the distorted drums and the, I guess, rage type melody, even though it's a bit more like this, I guess, on the happier side, I just think it's a very nice song. I don't know why, but it's just a very nice song. It's very like just uplifting. It's kind of poppy. I've really loved it, and it reminded me a lot of just like a song from Whole Lotta Red. Just one of the more, I guess, happier tunes in that thing, where it's a bit more melodic and less punk and less like experimental in terms of how Carti wants to deliver his verse. But kind of going back to, I guess, the main center like sound of this record, the distortion, the just pure chaos that Carti kind of brings into this record. I just love tracks like Toxic featuring Skepta, in which I will say Carti's verse is a bit 50-50, but Skepta, when he really rolls into the song, he is like in his zone, kind of locked in. It's incredible. It's really great that he's in this record. Lean For Real was one of my favorite songs ever that Carti's ever made, honestly, in his whole career. I think Skepta's verse added a lot of like just colorfulness, a lot of color, just a lot of good vibes during that song, during the entire record. And I think he does the exact same thing with Toxic, but with a bit more of an aggressive feeling and vibe, kind of matching the tone that Carti set with this album. The track Radar almost feels like a Chief Keef beat. I know it's produced by Metro Boomin, but Chief Keef could have easily been on this song. It was reminding me of like early 2010s Waka Flocka or just Gucci Mane type of vibes. It gives you that southern trap type of vibe that it almost feels nostalgic for some. But yeah, it's just this loud, cellular type beat that I think Carti really easily rides on it. Well, pause on that, but I don't know. I think he's flowing his ass off on this song. He's aggressive on the beat, and despite it only being in a minute and 50 seconds, it is like a very memorable minute and 50 seconds. Talking about like the very explosive and distorted parts on this record, I think tracks like MUNYUN, despite it being a bit technically like smoother, I think it's kind of like distorted in its nature and just I don't know, it's just like a fun boppy song to listen to. I think tracks like Crank, and just Cocaine News, kind of like looking at it right now and then the track list, they're just insanely unapologetically explosive. Cocaine News has this insanely distorted beat. That guitar riff, despite it being super simple, it's just super addictive to listen to. This distortion and effects thrown in there, it's like, it is incredible. It genuinely feels incredible, and it feels very punk. And it's like when the drums kick in, it is like, wow, this is incredible. And I think despite the song kind of having a bit more of a rinse repeat, I guess, structure, which isn't like anything like unknown for Carti. He's known for doing it a lot, and there's his style. I don't know. I just kind of love it. I love how simple. I love how addictive it is, which is the nature of Carti's music, his DNA in general. But I just love just how Carti can just use such an aggressive beat and just manage to just make it into something very like just tolerable or something that's just very unique in a way. The track Crank is almost the same field where it's like unapologetically loud. You get like probably hit with those Swamp Izzo ad-libs, which is scattered around the entire record. And by the way, I can't really like just get tired of it. I don't know why. There's a lot of criticism with the Swamp Izzo ad-libs, and they're comparing it to DJ Drama and Call Me to Get Lost. I didn't find the ad-libs to be that annoying until a certain song that I will mention right now soon. But yeah, overall, I kind of thought it added like a lot of like just energy. Sometimes it was kind of comical, and I kind of laughed with it. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I didn't really think it was overall that annoying. Kind of added a lot of energy, kind of hyped me and pumped me the hell up when I started listening to this record. So yeah, honestly, Swamp Izzo, one of the best DJs ever for real. But yeah, as I was saying, I think one of the songs that just I guess was a bit annoying in terms of the Swamp Izzo ad-libs was the track Opium Baby or Opium Baby. I know that there are people who love this song and are just kind of like I guess it's kind of growing in them. The beat is freaking fantastic. It is like that's such an incredible beat, and I think Ken Carson could have easily slid on this beat. It almost reminds me of the track Olympian. Kind of gives you that great chaos type of vibe. But I just think that just there's so many spams of the ad-libs. There's so many like just things going on in that song, and not in a good way, kind of like in a very destructive way that I can't focus as to what Carti wants to do with this song, because Swamp Izzo is screaming on one side, there's gunshots going on one side, there's like a bunch of billion things going on to the point that I can't focus as to what Carti wants to say in the song, or just kind of like sing along or whatever. I don't know. There's too many things going on in this song, and it just feels very distracting. That I just can't take the song seriously. I guess seriously, as serious as I want to take it personally. I think the last leg of this record kind of feels a little bit like just slower and redundant. I think with those songs that I mentioned, like Olympian and Opium Baby, I just think like starting from there, the song kind of has a little bit of a downfall. I mean, the album kind of has a little bit of a downfall because I feel like maybe the song like WEEZY was really like that one highlight that kind of like sticked with me. It has, of course, the outro South Atlanta Baby, which is incredible sample. Despite it being 2 minutes and 13 seconds, I feel like Carti does a fair share. It's a very nice farewell for its entire record, entire journey. He feels very confident in what he's trying to say. But yeah, like WEEZY, feel that the beat was incredible. He's just flowing, kind of like just in it, and I thought it was obviously a Lil Wayne reference. I think one of the earlier versions of this record was like he was gonna do a cover of like the album cover is gonna be kind of like alluding or paying a homage to a Lil Wayne, which is very cool. But still, it's kind of cool that he's kind of paying homage to Wayne. And I just think the overall vibe of the song is just incredible, despite it being a very short song. But yeah, I think the last leg overall isn't as impressive as the previous, I guess, other songs that were in, especially in the beginning, which had this nearly flawless execution and stuff. I think the track Walk, this one got it overly. I don't really like the songs that much. They're not terrible songs, but it could have been stronger personally. and I feel like Carti kind of had the idea, but just kind of like just dropped the idea halfway through. Personally speaking, HBA could have been such a good song if they just got rid of the snare rolls. The original version is so damn good. Hopefully, one of the mixes, the future mixes this record is gonna have, most likely, they freaking eliminate the snare rolls. I gotta say, probably one of my least favorite songs is "Charge 'Em Hoes a Fee" with Travis Scott and Future featured on the track. I just think, and I know some people like the song because Future, I guess, maybe I think it's Future's performance. I'm not entirely sure. I just think it's very slow, very boring. It sits like way too long on the mix. For 3 minutes and 45 seconds, this entire song feels like 5 or 6 minutes easily. I don't think there's enough interesting progression going on to the point that I can revisit it, especially when Good Credit literally comes out right after the song. I'm skipping straight to Good Credit, bro. You're not gonna fool me with this song. But yeah. Anyway, that was probably like one of my least favorite songs in the entire record. I don't know. Overall, yes, it's kind of messy. Yes, it's far from it being perfect or being properly structured and organized. But it has bangers. It's kind of what you'd expect from a Carti album. He said there's going to be like another record coming soon. I really doubt it. The same way that he mentioned some deluxe edition for Holiday, like I mentioned earlier, or some other record was supposed to drop a couple of years back, which never dropped, by the way. I don't know. Carti's kind of like doing his thing. There's apparently going to be future mixes that are going to happen, like version 2, version 3. So they've dropped that version 1 thing I was mentioning earlier. I don't know how drastically it's going to change my opinion. Hopefully not in a negative way. But yeah, overall, at least this version is being offered right now as I'm recording this video. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. As I said, far from perfect, but good enough. Yeah, in terms of the score, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. What did you guys think of this record? Let me know in comments down below if you love it, if you hate it. Also, if you really enjoyed this video, drop a like. Subscribe, turn notification bell on so you don't miss an upload from me. And yeah, see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.